How's it going, YouTube? Come back to today with another video, and today, guys, the brand new is going to be the board breaker meta tier list. This is something that I've been asked for a lot. I already did a video like this pretty recently, but a lot of people want to know now that we have a better insight on info and exactly how impactful some of these cards will be. I'm not going to include the hand traps on this one because we're just going to talk specifically about board breakers. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, definitely go down below in the description, check out all of my sponsors. And if you haven't already heard, on Twitch, we are doing a fundraising goal up to 1,000, and I'm giving away prizes at different goals. The first one's at 300 with this downward mat. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be giving that away at 300 on Twitch, so definitely be here for that. And if you want to donate, definitely go down below in the description at the very top. There's a link to do so. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's all go to Nats and let's have a great time. Without further ado, let's hop right into the video. So, talking about Cosmic Cyclone, I think this card is very strong right now. I'm going to put this card to 1. I really do like this card a lot, especially if you're playing against like Gimmick. When your opponent activates Argent, the rank up spell, you can actually just snipe it and get out of the game, which is really nice. Just something that your opponent will loop over and over. If you can get rid of the Argent by DD Crow or like a Cosmic, you're in a really good spot. I do like Cosmic in general, though. Of course, against Runic Stun, it's really nice for the 1-for-1 trade. But I don't really love playing the blowouts right now, like the Lightning Storm or a Duster, per se. I think that they still have merit. That's why I'd put them in, like, the Tier 2 area. But at the same time, I think that these cards just become less and less impactful because there's a lot less going on in the back row. And with any spell getting a way to get directly to the board with almost any combo, Cosmic has to be up there because you do have to respect the anti-spell. So I do think that this is something that you need to have into your deck. Definitely highly consider Cosmic and pull these out. I don't think these are going to be as good as you want them to be because I'm the same way. I really love Backrow Blah, and this is the fact that the Lightning Storm can hit monsters as well. But Cosmic's probably what you're going to want right now. Shaddoll Fusion as an engine, I probably wouldn't. It was kind of fun for a little while, but it's just not really that important. And it's also very specific to the kind of deck you're going to play to even be able to utilize these cards. And at the end of the day, they're just really hard bricks. So definitely take that in consideration. I do, however, think playing a small striker package is up in 1. Like the striker Snake Eye deck is really strong. The striker Tenpai deck is really strong. I do like these cards a lot. Obviously, don't play striker right now, right? Like, the deck sucks, but like the engine of board break is very good. So keep that in mind. This is something that you can do. I think there's a lot of merit into playing these striker cards right now just because they have such a toolbox that they can go ahead and utilize. So definitely go ahead and do that because in my opinion, I think that it can be a really good choice. The only problem is Drone Lockbird, so also keep that in mind. Talent, I'd probably say like top of tier 2. I'm not a huge fan of Talent, and I think that like Thrust is one of those like it could be impactful. I don't really love Thrust. I like Talent more than Thrust at the moment. But I don't really know if my first option is ever going to Thrust. I feel like Thrust should only really be played in the decks that really can utilize it. Like, I've always said that. With, like, Math Mech, when you had Super Factorial that you can set from deck with, like, a Thrust that really does something for you, if you can't really do a whole lot, I probably wouldn't play it. It's the same thing as, like, when Branded had Branded Expulsion, right? That was a crazy thrust target. So if your deck doesn't have, like, an all-out, like, absolute game-ending thrust target, I'm not a huge fan. I do like Talent, though, but not as much as some of the other cards we'll talk about. Twin Twister, I wouldn't play this card at all. I'm not really worried about Backrow at the moment. The only thing I'm worried about is, like, Anti-Spell, and again, we just play Cosmic anyway. The Change of Heart and Mind Control, like the Steel cards, are just S tier right now. Those cards are crazy. Being able to steal a Light Fiend off your opponent's board is just premium. Or you can steal, like, an Appaloosa. You can just tear apart a board, honestly. It's so good. And then being able to just link off, like, a monster of yours and, like, one of their monsters and go directly even to, like, a goddess, also pretty good. Just because that's, again, it's just like Nightmare Mermaid. We're just going back into that format, which is pretty crazy. Dark Hole and Regeki, they could be impactful. They could be. Are they really going to be played like that, though? Probably not. I wouldn't say I wouldn't play them, but I would play them if I was doing like going second snake or like board breaker tenpai. I do think that these cards have some merit, but there's just, again, way too many cards I would run before them. Dark Ruler, even Droplet, honestly, they're up here in S tier. I have such a weird just mindset when it comes to Dark Ruler and Droplet right now, though, because like they're good cards. I absolutely think they're great, but at the same time, if everyone is convoluting on the fact that everyone's gonna be running Disarray and there's crazy lines to avoid Dark Ruler and Droplet, in my opinion, everyone gets told to play these cards, and by the time it's the time to go to Nats, I think people switch off of these. And it's not like we haven't seen this before. We have. We've had people hype these cards up and then just not play them. And I think that that's going to be what happens. I think it's going to be a hand trap format more than it will be a board breaker format, especially with Disarray. I think that these cards, although very good and very strong, I don't think they're as good as they're being hyped up to you. But take that with a grain of salt. I could be wrong, but I will respect that they're very good right now, but I also will give you my 2 cents that I don't love these cards. Pank could be impactful. It's a good card, but it's pretty cool. We'll have to wait and see. Evenly, I would say it's definitely above these two right now, but it's also pretty low impact at the moment. I'm not a huge fan of it. Again, I think it's fine. You can clear a lot, but like you have to be able to bait something first. So like if you have like Imperm evenly against most boards, that cooks, right? Or like a way to bait the negate and then evenly cook. Because most end boards right now are ending with like 1 to 2 negates. I know that it's really awkward too, because if you're playing against like Unchained, they also have like Abominable set, so they can play around this to a point. Kaijus, I probably wouldn't play these. I don't really think they're that strong. Metatronus, I would say, is a weird one. So I would definitely say like the Metatronus could be like middle of tier 2. It's okay. There's not a lot of crazy targets. Shout out to my friend Minsu. Mentioned to me that you can actually go Metatronus, target Crimson Dragon, summon Valor. Pretty hilarious, honestly. I like that. Just something that you can do. But Lava Golem, if your deck can run these, I think these cards are kind of crazy. Honestly, I think these cards are actually kind of crazy. But again, it'd just be like, could be. I would say like this is probably tier 2. This is like could be. I think there's too many monsters that hit board now, to where this would be less impactful than this. But these cards are really neat. But like again, you have to be able to run these cards, right? So this would be like Runic Stun or something crazy. It's really rough trying to give away your normal summon to be able to do these things. But they are really impactful in their own regard. Super Poly, I would even say like don't play it. I think the only good reason to play Super Poly that I've seen is going to be like you Super Poly away in Appaloosa and an IP against Snake, and you make the Cybers at Ignister. I think that's really cool, but beyond that, like the extra deck is so tight right now that I don't even know if you can find a room for it, right? If you're playing like an off meta deck and you want a option to beat Snake, this could be something very cool. You can experiment with it, but I don't really think it's like that good. Someone in chat asked me, how about Kurakara? Kurakara, I think, is an interesting card. I think it would be like somewhere in tier 2 as far as the board breaker. I like that card because more times than not, it's unexpected. It's something that no one's really on at the moment. So it's something where if you can bait a lot of things on your opponent's board, that card can be quickly game very, very fast. That card is really solid for coming out of nowhere and just ending games, right? Even then, like being able to reborn something out of your opponent's graveyard too at the end phase is pretty impactful. So definitely somewhere in 2. I think that like this is why we're talking about playing hand traps and board breakers, and that's not a specific like board breaker format, because there's only so many parts of board breaking that are like really meta at a time. So if you play like any of these with some hand traps, I think that you're in a really good position. A lot of these are pretty mid. I don't really think that these are that good at the moment. I think talent could be moved up to like 1, but I don't really love it. Book of Eclipse as well. I don't really love that card. I've thought about that even like last format before Fiendsmith, but post Fiendsmith, I feel like you really just need a way to just either stop your opponent with hand traps or just direct cards that will just answer an entire board. And I don't think that Eclipse would answer an entire board. But it really depends, right? So like if you have against like Ubel, right? If you go Eclipse Chain Droplet onto the Verdurous, you're in a good spot, right? So we'll have to wait and see on that one too. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. Definitely a lot to think about as far as board breakers going into nationals. Tell me what your favorite board breaker is down below, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.